What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin' Track. I'm Ryan Stillman, and with me, as always, is my incredible co-host, Aaron Halterman of RacingDudes.com. Aaron, welcome back to the show. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Should be a good show today. We've got the first 50-point Kentucky Derby race coming up this weekend. Of course, we'll talk all about that, all about the Kentucky Derby. So I'm excited. We got more swiping. I'm ready for that as well, Ryan. That's always my favorite segment.
We have so much in store for you guys. And like Aaron just said there's honestly a chance that we might see the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks winner this weekend. So that's really always something to look forward to. Before we get into any of that, though, I have an announcement I'd like to make again. Next, the 22nd, a Big Play has its own horse racing on the undercard of Rebel Stakes Day. We have Improbable Luck making his debut, and we are going to do a live show. You are not going to want to miss this. Hopefully, we'll be talking Rebel Stakes, helping you cash. Come on, join the live stream and have some fun and cheer on Improbable Luck. It's a horse we've been following for a while, and I think he could be a very exciting one to watch down the line for D. Wayne Lucas. All right, with that being said, let's cover what happened last week. Aaron, we had a major Kentucky Derby prep, the Sam F. Davis. You're going to do some stock ups and stock down for us. Let's start with your first horse, stock up for John Hancock, the winner. Tell me why.
Well, I'm excited for John Hancock. So the Sam F. Davis was just the second start of this horse's career for trainer Brad Cox. Broke the maiden right here at Tampa Bay Downs in his first ever start. Second start, usually a horse is still trying to learn, trying to get, his feet under him, so to speak. This was not really the case for John Hancock. He got to the front. He was challenged by a more veteran horse, and then he was able to he almost got past there at the stretch, but then re-rallied and then pulled away at the wire and was pulling away as they approached the wire. So he showed a lot of maturity for a horse just making his second career start. He has a pedigree that says he's going to be pretty good. He's now 2 for 2. He's undefeated. Ryan, I think at this moment right now, he's probably not fast enough to win the Kentucky Derby, but the good news is he just has those 2 starts. You should see improvement from this horse in his third start and then even his fourth start. His fourth start could actually be the Kentucky Derby. So he might blossom on the right day at the right time. So I was really excited about him for, it wasn't like this unbelievable effort, but for a horse just making a second start, I thought it was very good.
I agree with you. It was nice to see Brad Cox get a win in one of these preps. I also think he kind of felt like a horse like he deserves to be in that top 20 to me. Like you just felt like he's quality, an incredible ride from Flavian Pratt. I felt he rode him exactly the way you need to do it. And I also, Aaron, it's interesting. These are these really interesting situations where you have a nice horse and they just say, okay, if you're good enough, it's do or die. We're going to throw you out there like a gladiator. You got to come back and win or you're not making it. Show us what you got. And he delivered. Don't you agree?
Yeah, that's the thing. You said it best there, and that's a really good point. When a horse is kind of young and developing, they'll throw them in a big race. If they don't do quite as well, like you just said, they'll kind of back off, maybe do an easier route, maybe look for tougher races, even towards like the summer, kind of just slowly doing it. So you throw a horse like that out there, and if he doesn't run well, you may not see him again in a big race for a while. But when he does, then it opens up the doors for a lot of things because he showed his trainer and his owner and even his jockey, hey, if I have to get tested here, I can answer the challenge. I can beat these horses that have more experience than I do because I've got a little bit more raw talent than they do. So it was a big time test and he passed it. That's all good.
Absolutely. And let's talk about your stock up for the runner-up, Owen Almighty.
I still kind of like this horse. He got beat. It was disappointing. He had a big chance to win. But this was a horse going in. We thought, okay, is he really going to do well going this long? Does he want to go a little bit shorter, like 6 or 7 furlongs? Or does he want to go a mile and a 16th? I thought he ran okay for a mile and a 16th race. I didn't see any kind of regression from him. Should he have won? Is it disappointing that he didn't? Yeah, maybe, but maybe that horse is just better than him, right? But maybe when he gets in a race where he doesn't face one of those kind of really talented horses, he'll be able to win races like the Sam F. Davis. So I still think it's stock up. I think he did just fine, kind of going back to 2 turns and running okay. I'm not done with him at all.
On the Derby trail, are you done with him or are you still give him another shot down the line? That's the question.
I'm probably done with thinking he can win the Kentucky Derby. I didn't really think that anyway, Ryan. But, when I look at this, I don't think I'm done with him on the Derby trail specifically. I think if he gets in the right spot, there is a chance where he could maybe finish second again or maybe even win depending on where he's at. So I still have hope for him. I don't know if he's a Derby winner. I still think he's a pretty nice horse. I think they're going to find a right spot for him. I think he's going to win a couple down the road. Just kind of wait and see on him.
All right, talking about horses, your stock dropped on a big one, Aaron. Poster, tell me about why.
Yeah, Poster, the winner of the Rimson Stakes as a 2-year-old. That's one of the bigger 2-year-old races. I didn't like this performance in the Sam F. Davis. He was kind of up against it. I don't really think he wants to go a mile and 16th. I actually think he wants to go longer. But Ryan, I'll kick it to you with this question. Didn't you kind of feel like, yeah, he made a run, he got into third, but he passed a lot of horses that weren't very good and a lot of horses that were tired. Ryan, I just didn't think he was making up a lot of ground on the 2 horses that were actually running late. What did you think?
I think that's a really good point you're making, and I'm excited you talked about this horse because, man, he was an exciting horse to follow coming into this race. But no, you can't be too thrilled with Poster. Although, Aaron, he sort of had some weird hiccups in his training. He wasn't necessarily pointing for that race. So I'm not like fully against him in his next start as a board hitter or maybe to improve. Would you say that's fair, or am I completely off base?
I think he could be that horse that hits the board, finishes third, maybe gets up for second. I'm just skeptical that he could actually jump up and win one of these big races. And I think what it is, his stock was kind of high coming into the race because he was the Rimson winner. That's a huge race as a 2-year-old. So yeah, the stock drops. That doesn't mean he's just plummets, but it just means, yeah, he kind of lost a little bit of luster in his first start as a 3-year-old.
Absolutely agree. And let's go to your major stock down for me here too. Treaty of Rome, stock down for you. Tell me why.
Yeah, Treaty of Rome, nowhere to be found in the Sam F. Davis. That's not a good race to not be found in because that wasn't a very good race overall, Ryan. So you just kind of look at it and go, yeah, maybe he's not that type of horse. He was a narrow second in his last race, which happened at Gulfstream Park against a horse named Guns Loaded, who didn't come back to do any running either. To me, he's just kind of, nah, I don't really care about him at this point. For the Kentucky Derby, maybe they're going to have a little bit easier race for him. Major stock down for me. I don't think he's much as far as a Kentucky Derby contender.
I'm with you. Throw that stock out the window. No good to me either. When we come back, we're going to talk about the future, though. We've got Swiping with My Sisters. Stay tuned. Aaron and I swiping next. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Talking Track. It's everyone's favorite time. It's our game we like to call Swiping with My Sister. Aaron, you know how this works. For you that are new at home, I showed my champion equestrian sister 4 pictures of Derby horses that are potential to run in the race, and she had to swipe left or right on them based on looks. She's going to decide whether or not she thinks, based on their physicality, they have what it takes to make it to the Derby. Aaron, you know how this works. Are you as pumped as I am for this game?
I didn't sleep all night waiting for this game. This is my favorite game of all time. I'm ready to go. I'm more than pumped.
Okay, here we go, guys. We're going to start off with a horse who raced. We're going to start off with a horse who raced last year. He was a champion, contender for 2-year-old champion, Chancer McPatrick. Aaron, did my sister swipe left or right on Chancer McPatrick for the Derby based on what she saw?
Boy, what a tough one we start off with, but a good one. I've seen this horse live and in person many times. He's kind of a smaller horse, but I think he's pretty well put together. I'm going to say right on this one.
Let's see.
I would swipe right on this one. This one's really interesting. I think that this is a type of horse that could either win it all or lose it all. But I think on the right day, under the right circumstances, it has the potential to be a winner. It's got a beautiful compact form. It's got a nice long gait. It's one of those horses that I think ridden right could be a winner.
Wow. Right on the money, Aaron. And also, by the way, I had to cut a clip that she said afterwards because we moved on. She said she wanted to make a point. She said, he looks like a horse that would like competition and like pick off horses. And I thought, holy moly, man, like she really nailed it with this little, yeah, really cool. Do you think that's fair, her assessment, by the way? That's an interesting.
I don't know why I continue to be shocked by her comments, but it's unbelievable. That comment is crazy because if you don't know Chancer Patrick, he comes from the back, he makes one run, he passes horses. So that's crazy. She also said if he's ridden right, I think he's got a chance. There's probably no other horse in the field more than Chancer Patrick that needs to have the right ride to win the race. So that was amazing, as always.
Absolutely. And let's talk about a horse who we were both very high on at the beginning of the year, kind of fell off. Patch Adams, Aaron. Did my sister swipe left or right on Patch Adams for the Derby based on what she saw?
Oh boy, this is a big one for you because you have this horse in our fantasy league, Ryan. I'm going to say she swiped right on Patch Adams.
Let's take a look.
Okay, well, with that name, that's a really cute name. So like, I would have probably put some money down on him just because I like his name. But I would probably swipe left, just based off of the pictures. Nice horse. Looked like they probably bred it. Could have spent some money on it. Doesn't look like a horse that's going to over deliver. Kind of heavily muscular on the back end, not so much on the front end, and a little bit short strided. So I would say if it hits the board, it's going to be in the low numbers.
Wow. Pretty impressive. By the way, she did tell me after that one that it was a little hard because she's just basing on a picture. She hasn't seen them run, but that does talk about physicality there, right, Aaron? I mean, she might be onto something with this horse.
Well, and when this horse stretched out to 2 turns, he did not do very well. So I think once again, we probably need to be listening to her because that makes sense, right? And yeah, it's disappointing for you. I know you'd like probably to swipe right on that one, but again, what she said in that video kind of came true.
Absolutely. He's a very exciting horse, though. I wouldn't fully give up on Patch Adams. I don't know what he is. Maybe he does well. Maybe he bounced. But keep an eye on Patch Adams, guys. Looks aren't everything, and I'm still not fully off of him, Aaron. Are you, by the way?
No, I'm not fully off of him. I want to see him one more time. First time stretching out, going long. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Let's see him do one more. He didn't get the greatest trip either, so I'm not done with him yet. No.
Okay. Now let's talk about 2 horses that we're going to be seeing running in the Risen Star Stakes. And the first one is an undefeated horse, Vassimo. I'm having trouble with the name, Aaron, but we all know this guy here for Todd Pletcher. Talk to me about Vassimo, left or right for my sister.
Yeah, I think you could go either way, right? I say Vassimo. So you say Vassimo, I say Vassimo. We got it covered. I'm going to go right on this one. He looks pretty good from that picture. I'm going to go right.
Let's see.
I would swipe left on this one. One, I don't like its feet that much. They're very flat. And I think it looks like a horse that was bred well, but yeah, I don't know. This one just doesn't do it for me. It just kind of looks flat and its back end is a little bit low. So I don't love this one. Very thoroughbredy.
Interesting there. Any thoughts on maybe why that wouldn't have appealed to her, by the way? I thought that was kind of an interesting response too.
I'm disappointed because I feel like our connection has been lost, her and I. So we'll have to work on that, maybe privately. But no, as far as this goes, sorry. As far as this goes, it is a little surprising. He looked very good by the picture. So, I don't know. But it's interesting, though, because he really hasn't had a really fast time yet. He's winning, but his times aren't very fast. So maybe she's onto something again. Maybe he's about to get exposed this weekend.
Dude, honestly, it's funny. And you don't have to apologize. Jennifer's a good-looking girl. I don't blame you for wanting to have a look at the horse section with her. I will say this. I think that that's a kind of a horse, Aaron, that I wouldn't count him out as being an even better horse next year. He kind of reminds me of Vino Rosso. That's kind of like who he reminds me of is a Todd Pletcher horse. So he might not be ready now, but I wouldn't count him out. Undefeated, we never know. Let's go to our last horse, the most exciting horse of the entire weekend, East Avenue. Did my sister swipe left or right on East Avenue?
No question, she swiped right on East Avenue. I have no doubt about this one. Lock it in. I'm going to go all in. I've lost a couple of bets. We're winning this bet. All in, East Avenue right.
Let's see.
I would swipe right on this one. I love this one. I love everything about him. I love the way he carries himself. I think he's very evenly balanced in the front end and the back end. I think he's very strikingly handsome. And I think that the way that he carries himself, what it looks like to be the end of the race here, where he's not tired and he's ready to go, speaks volumes.
You nailed that. I mean, wow, Aaron. Yeah, and by the way, it took her breath away levels. Like that one, when we were showing her all the pictures, that was the one she was like, whoa, of all of them. And obviously, I feel like you've had that experience too with this horse, correct? Just when you.
So what have I told you, right? From the very start, I said I've never seen, or I shouldn't say never, but rarely do I see a horse that he just doesn't do anything wrong. His workouts are great. His races are great, other than the biggest one where he stumbled, but that's the only flaw. So I love that she said that, Ryan. That makes me so excited that she is excited about this horse as well. I love it. Let's see what he does, but I'm glad I got that one right.
Well, that's swiping with my sister for this week, guys. We're going to have a brand new group next week, and we've got a lot of exciting horses coming up, and I'm excited to get her takes on them. All right, when we come back, though, we're going to talk more about that horse when we cover the Risen Stakes. Stay tuned to see who Aaron and I are picking. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. All right, everybody, welcome back to Talkin' Track. This week, the Risen Star Stakes is Saturday at Fairgrounds. That's a Kentucky Derby prep. As Aaron mentioned, there's tons of points up on the line. Aaron, we could see 1 or even 2 horses get into the Kentucky Derby starting gate based on what happens here. That's how exciting this is. If East Avenue is the horse I think he is, this could be a very, very exciting race. I'm talking super exciting because he was a horse who had a buzz that could win a Triple Crown. we'll get into all that right now. Aaron, how excited are you about this race based on what you've seen? First impression.
Yeah, it's always exciting when the 50-point races start. If you're kind of unfamiliar with how it works, the first races in like January and February, only 20 points are awarded to the winners of those races that are Kentucky Derby prep races. Now you get into the 50-point races starting here with the Risen Star, which it's basically becomes a win and you're in for the Kentucky Derby. So the winner of this race is going to have enough points to make the Kentucky Derby, and it just amps up the intensity. So without even seeing the field, you get excited. Then when you look at the field for the Risen Star, the first 50-point race of the season, you have to get excited because East Avenue, the horse we've gushed about, at least I've gushed about, and you as well for weeks, is back. And now your sister in the last segment gushed about him as well, even more exciting. So having him in the race is great. I will say this, I don't love much else in the race. So if he loses, we're going to be pretty depressed because he really should win in this spot. It's a field of 13, so you got a bunch of them in there. I don't know about you, Ryan. I didn't love a whole lot else in here past East Avenue.
I'm with you. However, here's what I'm excited to talk to you about, Aaron, because honestly, there's East Avenue, and then there's a group of horses that if someone's going to do it, really intrigue me. So I'm going to go through a few with you if you don't mind, and you kind of tell me, here's what I'm looking at. Jonathan's Way. I think he's a live horse. I feel like he has the second highest time form. He's working out great. He fired a bullet not too far back. I feel like he is coming into this race to run. And I feel like more than anyone else in the field that I consider a live contender, it's do or die for this horse. Don't you, Aaron? Like, he has to win here. There's no plan B, right?
Yeah, I like him as a horse. I think he's very good. I think he's got a lot of talent. And I think we saw a lot of talent as a 2-year-old. I don't like him going this distance. I just feel like he's going to be more of a one-turn, 7 furlongs, 1 mile, perfect. 1 1/8. I just don't know, Ryan. I'm a little scared of the distance for Jonathan's Way.
I'm with you, son of a coma, but he might get this distance. And I just feel like he's here to fire his best shot. So he's one, but I'm with you. Let's pass on him and go to my next horse I'm curious about. Vassimo. Look, he's not for me. I'm going to say that right now, but I respect him. Is he a hit the board type? Is he a pass? He's undefeated. You get IRAD. Look, Aaron, I just want to mention one thing that I read that I thought was amazing. His rider, Irad Ortiz, and he follows the money and knows where it's going to be. He told the owner, Cheryl Penny, wherever you go with this horse, I'm going. He's just playing when he's running in these races. We have no idea how good he is. We don't know how good he is. What do I do with Vassimo?
You said it, and I hope what the owner says is accurate, right? Because he hasn't ran a very fast time yet. He's been impressive, but he hasn't been fast. But sometimes with younger horses, we talked about in the first segment, they kind of just do what they need to do. They don't really understand fully what they're out there to do. So in his mind, he's saying, hey, I'm winning. That's fine. I don't need to win by 10 lengths. I can just do what I need to do. If that's the case, he's got more in the tank. He's got a big chance in this race. I am just skeptical of what the ceiling is with this horse. We don't really know. And maybe we find out that the ceiling is kind of low, when he gets challenged by the better horses. He's had 2 races. He beat a pretty nice horse that came back to win in his first race named Rapture. His second race was kind of against nobodies. This is a big challenge. So he's the one that's a question mark for sure.
Another horse that I think is a question mark, but I couldn't get there, but I don't feel great tossing him out, is Septarian. Look, this horse, he couldn't beat Guns Loaded in Treaty of Rome, who I want nothing to do with at this minute. Then I saw Flavorian Pratt was on him, and I said, stop, what's going on here? You get Chad Brown. He's been working dynamite, back-to-back bullets. His connections give me pause. What do I do here, Aaron? Tell me.
It's a tough one because the horses that he ran behind in his last race have done next to nothing. They were nowhere to be found in their next starts. So I'm with you. The connections are flashy. You look at the workouts, they're flashy. You look at what this horse has done on the track, it's not. And so again, it's like, I just don't have a lot of interest in him trying to beat an East Avenue or even a Vassimo or a Jonathan's Way. I think both of those horses are just a little bit better than Septarian. I couldn't get there with him.
I kind of agree with you, but I had to bring it up. And now here's the horse who I find very interesting, Aaron, that if you're going to take a shot with, I mean, might be a live horse for me. Okay, Aaron, let's talk about Built. You get Saez. I think his connections mean business, and they want to hit the board in here, okay? He's never been off the board. They were going to wait for the Louisiana Derby, these people. They announced in the DRF, and they said, look, if we wait for that race and something goes wrong there, we completely can't get into the Derby. We have to try to get points here as well. Maybe they sneak up and win something. Dude, he had a very sharp workout in 47 4/5, not too far back. Let's say we throw out one race. Any shot for Built here? Like, I kind of think he's live, or at least you got to respect him, bro.
He is the second best horse in the race in my eyes. I think he's going to be in the second horse for me. I think they're really hoping there's no rain. Last time out in the slop, I think they speculate that he didn't really like it. He wasn't really happy with the surface he was running on that day. He still got second, but he didn't really fire on like he did in the Gun Runner back in December, where he looked like a monster. So yeah, look, I am questionable, and I have always been questionable of his actual talent level. How good is he? How high can he kind of rise? So that's where I kind of pause for him. But look, he's there. He's been working there. He's been running there. He's been solid. No reason to think he doesn't have a chance. I think he's the one to beat if East Avenue does not run very well.
Now, let's talk about East Avenue. I went into this, Aaron. I tried to go against him. I tried to find another way to beat him. If he's the horse I think he is, he should win. Is that how you ultimately wound up seeing it?
Look, again, you look at the Breeders' Cup, it was just a nightmare of a disaster, Ryan. Just a total disaster. He broke, it pretty much fell to his nose. So, yes, if he shows up, he breaks cleanly. He runs like he's been working. He runs like he did in the 2 races where he broke cleanly and dominated. I don't think they're going to beat him. I think, honestly, it's going to be East Avenue, or it's going to be a crazy long shot in this race, one or the other. But my money's on East Avenue. I think he's ultra, ultra tough in this spot.
I'm with you. East Avenue for me all day. That's our preview of the Risen Star Stakes. Cash down, and hopefully we gave you some more angles. When we come back, we've got another Derby prep to talk about, the Sunland Park Derby, the Sunland Derby. You're not going to want to miss this. We got some hot takes. Stay tuned. Talking Track. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Talking Track. This weekend on Sunday, we have a second Kentucky Derby prep. The Sunland Park's big event of the day is going to be the Sunland Derby. It's a Kentucky Derby prep with 20 points on the line to the winner. Aaron, this race is a mess. Part of it makes sense, and then it was chaotic. Is that how you saw it too?
Absolutely. Great way to intro it there, Ryan. Yeah, it is kind of a mess. It usually is. So if you don't really follow racing, or maybe you just follow the bigger tracks, Sunland Park has always had the Sunland Derby, minus the COVID year where they couldn't have it. But it's always a kind of a mishmash group, right? Every once in a while, you'll get an elite horse that shows up here and he goes on to do big things. But usually, it's kind of the B team of the Kentucky Derby crop most years. So trainers will kind of ship their horses here, looking to kind of maybe steal a win, get it a little bit of an easier win, send kind of their 3rd or 4th string horse to try, like Bob Baffert's done with this one. So it's a field of 9, and none of them are just outstanding. That's for sure.
No, and the clear horse to beat, Getaway Car. This feels like the right spot for him, Aaron, as far as how I would figure him to be as the highest speed figure. My goodness, talk about a Boulevard of Broken Dreams kind of moment. If he loses here, it gets pretty bad. I'm going to go with him on top. Is that what you ultimately thought? And then we'll talk about some other scenarios here.
Yes, I did go number 4, Getaway Car on top. I do think he's the most likely winner. And in racing, a lot of time we talk about class, and what that means is who are these horses been up against, right? So the other 8 horses in the race, I'm not saying they've been up against total horses that just aren't good, but most of them, they haven't been up against real elite horses. The 7 Mackenzie Street has been up against elite horses, but he's kind of been nowhere to be found when the real running begins. He kind of gets beat pretty easily, especially lately. The number 4 Getaway Car has been beaten by some nice ones, by some really nice ones, like Citizen Bull, a horse that's number 1 on our list. Journalism, a horse that's in our top 5 as well. And I'm not saying he's threatened to beat any of those horses lately, because he certainly hasn't, especially stretching out to 2 turns. But he hasn't been way far behind them, right? Couple of links here, 3 or 4 links here. So he's been within the realm. So imagine if imagine if Journalism or Citizen Bull was in this race. They would be the heavy 1-9 favorite, couldn't lose. Well, here's Getaway Car, who's been, within the 3-4 links of these horses before. So he's kind of like, yeah, he's the class of the field. If he shows up and runs his best race, he should win. The flip side of it is, since he stretched out to 2 turns, he just hasn't been very good. He hasn't really been close to winning, but again, facing those tougher horses, he's weird, Ryan. His pedigree says he should run all day long, but when he runs, he's better going shorter. He was 2 for 2 when he to start his career when he was running in shorter races. So It's a good spot for him. I think this is a race he can win. I don't think he can win a race like the Risen Star that we just talked about. So good spotting, but there's question marks, right?
Absolutely. And so when you have questions, you kind of look around like who's next. Let's talk about before we get into some other categories of talent, I think too. There's an unknown here, Caldera, My Racehorse. Always exciting to talk about My Racehorse because they bring in so much enthusiasm to the game. What were your thoughts on Caldera, Aaron?
Yeah, the power of My Racehorse, first of all, I always kind of underestimated, and I shouldn't. So last year I did a Sunland Park video for my website, and it got about 1,000 views. Well, we're still 3 days away from the race. I did a Sunland Park video. We're up over 2,000 views for that one. Why? Because Caldera's in the race, and the My Racehorse people are showing up, and they're watching that video, so appreciate that. As far as Caldera goes, Dwayne Lucas, Hall of Fame trainer, the greatest trainer of all time, maybe minus Bob Baffert, in my opinion. This guy, he knows horses, and he's always been high on Caldera. His first few races, they were okay, but they weren't like, oh, he's going to be really great. His third race, Dwayne Lucas told the jockey, send that horse to the front. They won't pass him. And why he did that? Because Caldera has a big, long stride. He's not an accelerator. Like, he's not going to go out and just bam, make a big move, but he's got a big long stride. If he gets out in front, he's going to be hard to kind of pass. And he's proven that even the races he lost, he wasn't really getting passed, but he wasn't passing horses, right? We'll get him to the front. And hey, if he gets to the front in this race with this big long stride, maybe there's a chance. I like him in second. I think the only problem is I don't know if he's fast enough to get the lead in this spot, but if he can, I think he's dangerous.
I'm excited about Caldera too, and kind of knowing the My Racehorse people, they've always had high opinions on this horse, so he's definitely one to watch, and I think it's a good spot for him. Aaron, Mackenzie Street's another big name. He's sort of like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. We've heard of him before. I wanted to sort of go with this horse. He's let me down so much. It almost feels like ever since he's debuted, he's gone backwards. Are you off of him here too? Is it just me being concerned? I don't know what
I
to
would
do.
say Mackenzie Street's like RC Cola. If we're going to talk about a cola, I don't think he's Pepsi or Coke. I think that's Citizen Bull, or East Avenue. Yeah, he's the off-brand cola for sure. We have heard of him, we've seen him, but when we taste him, he's not that great. So, look, he was a horse that had a lot of kind of ability early and a lot of flash, but as we've kind of gone on, we've seen he's just not that good. And that's just, that's the blunt way about it. They're dropping him down in class and they're thinking, okay, maybe we can go to Sunland and maybe pick up a win here. But this is a horse that had Santa Anita Derby type dreams, the big time. And here he is in the Sunland Derby, and he's not even the favorite in this race.
No, and his trainer doesn't even come here, and I don't know how that all works, but I can't get there with him. Aaron, one last name for the people out there. Anyone touchy? Take Charge Tom. Is there anyone you want to shout out to? Because there's some good ones. Smash It. What? One more name from us.
Yeah, just don't like these horses very well, to be completely honest. Smash It is a horse at 12-1 that's kind of interesting. Todd Finchner trains this horse. He's a local at Sunland. So it's like, yeah, he's kind of been able to win this race before, or at least run well in this race before, with maybe horses are a little bit under the radar, a little bit, not quite as sharp. So maybe that's one to think about with the number 3 Smash It. Other than that, Ryan, I just don't love this field. Touchy's interesting, but 7-2 is a little bit short, so wasn't kind of all in on Touchy either. Has shown some ability, but to me, I think it's Getaway Car. I think it's Caldera. I'm not sure about the rest of these horses.
Yeah, last one for me was Take Charge Tom. He's just one to keep in mind if you're desperate and you need to earn some money for a sandwich at the end of the day. Throw him in there, maybe at the bottom of your super. But for me, I'm out of this one, Aaron, and we're out of this segment. Come back with us. We've been talking Derby. Guys, there's a version of that for the girls. It's called the Kentucky Oaks. When Aaron and I come back, we've got 2 major Kentucky Oaks preps to talk about. And I am not kidding. We might see the Kentucky Oaks winner in our very first preview here. Come back, talk track with us. You're not going to want to miss it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Talkin' Track. We've been talking Derby. Time to talk some Oaks. We have 2 major Kentucky Oaks preps this weekend. Let's start with the biggest of the 2, Aaron. Let's go to Fairgrounds for the Rachel Alexandra, the return of many people's number 1 ranked Kentucky Oaks horse at the minute. Good Cheer. Where do you want to start? Want to talk about her for a second?
Yeah, let's start with Good Cheer. So this is going to be a very exciting race. It's a battle for me. It's a 2-horse race and a battle of undefeateds. We'll talk about the second one in a second, but let's talk about good cheer for Brad Cox. And this horse has been awesome, right? So on debut at Horseshoe, Indianapolis, kind of a smaller track up in Indianapolis, won by 8.5, 8.25, was really, really good. Went to Churchill after that, won by 17 lengths in her next start. And then back-to-back races in Stakes Company, blowout wins again. So like you said, this is a lot of people's number one Kentucky Oaks horse. Of course, first Friday in May will be the Kentucky Oaks. And Brad Cox knows a thing or two about winning this race. He did it with Monomoy Girl. And this horse kind of reminds you of Monomoy Girl as far as the way she's dominating races. She's just been flawless. And every time she runs, you're just like, wow, she just does everything the right way. She just checks all those boxes. And so it's very exciting. You mentioned a lot of people have her number one. I know FanDuel TV's Curtis Callaward had his first list out this weekend. He had this horse number one on his list as well. So very excited for Good Cheer. I think she's the one to beat. There is another horse in the race that's interesting, though. I know we're going to talk about her, but Good Cheer, I think she's going to be very tough in here.
Yeah, and guys, last year, the Kentucky Oaks winner went on to be Horse of the Year. It was so exciting. This is something you definitely will want to watch if you're new to racing. But Aaron, let's talk about that other horse. I think I know the one you're talking about. She's undefeated. She's very interesting. Simply Joking. Same time form number as Good Cheer. This could be her biggest test to date, Good Cheer. Would you agree, Aaron? This is very exciting between these two.
Absolutely. And it's a situation that I always love when one of the main horses are going to be out in front and the other main horse is going to be coming kind of not from like last, but like from behind, maybe 4 lengths behind. Let's say, Ryan, just a guess. They'll be around there. And then it's always fun when they go into the stretch. Who can outlast who? Will that speed horse be able to hold on, or will that horse coming from behind be able to catch? I'm praying that's the matchup we get. I want to see it right there. The 6 Simply Joking, turning for home with the lead, and the 2 Good Cheer coming after. It'll be the race of the day, I think, if that's how it actually stacks up. Because while I love Good Cheer, and I'm sticking with Good Cheer on top, I think this Simply Joking is no joke, Ryan. I think she's very good. First race of her career, won by a neck in a stakes race. They debuted the horse in a stakes race, and she won. That hardly ever happens. Usually a horse debuts in a maiden special weight against other horses that have never won. No, this horse went right to a stakes race, won, stepped up last time out at Fairgrounds to another stakes race, won again. She has been there at Fairgrounds. She's had races at Fairgrounds. So a little bit of kind of the, even though Good Cheer, kind of a Fairgrounds horse as well, just hasn't raced there yet, but has worked out there. But this is kind of a Simply Joking, kind of defending that, kind of de facto, hey, I'm the queen of Fairgrounds right now. You're going to have to come beat me, Good Cheer. You may be the number one ranked horse, but you haven't beaten me yet. So I think it's a very fascinating matchup. I like the 2 Good Cheer on top, but I think Simply Joking is a big time challenger.
I think you broke that down perfectly, Aaron. So question for you. Okay, we got these two. Who do you like as far as the rest of the field? But Ballerina Dioro just scratched prior to the show, and I kind of liked her underneath there too.
Me too.
After that, for me, another one that I kind of thought was interesting, and this is kind of weird, was Go Well's Delight as a very underneath horse. I like that you get Kenny McPeak and Brian Hernandez. There's 2 in this race, and I think this is the one he prefers of the 2. She's won at Fairgrounds in her maiden. She kind of impressed me. Workouts were kind of okay. But is there a third one now? Because after these 2, it becomes a mess. Is there a third one you like?
You stole it from me. Go Well's Delight. I like this horse. I really do. I think this is a good one, Ryan. Broke the maiden at Fairgrounds, like you mentioned. Went up to run at Oaklawn in a pretty tough stakes race up there and just didn't show up. I kind of just draw a line through it. That was not her best, right? Gets back home here at Fairgrounds where she'll be comfortable. Let's see. I think that could be one that could jump up and maybe not win, maybe get second, something like that. You mentioned Ballerina Dioro. I loved that horse. I thought that horse might be an upsetter in here as well, but did scratch. So forget about her. But I'm with you. The number 4, Go Well's Delight. The number 7, Bless the Broken. Maybe another one to maybe just jump up and get the board late there. But I like your 4 here. I think Go Well's Delight's got a shot.
It's very scary when Aaron and I agree on something, guys. So I would go for that one if you're placing a ticket. Now, speaking of,
I've got to reevaluate everything now. Right?
Now, speaking of very scary, we have a very scary horse in the Sunland Park Oaks, Aaron, a horse that you texted me about when she won her maiden. Another horse to look for on the Kentucky Oaks Trail. Talk about her for the people that don't know. Let's have you break the news.
Yeah, so the Sunland Park, the Sunland Park Oaks is going to be, the female version of the Derby, of course. And then the number 4, Maysam, is the horse I'm really looking forward to watching here. And you're right. I did text you when she broke her maiden last time out at Santa Anita. She did it by 6 lengths. It was really impressive. She was like a massive horse. Like, I wish we need to maybe show your sister this horse at some point to see, because this horse is just a beauty. She's huge. She like doubled compared to the horse that she beat that day and passed at the top of the stretch. So here's the odd thing. I really thought this horse would run in a bigger race, Ryan. So I'm a little like, why are you here at Sunland? Right? That's kind of strange. However, I think this is an easy winner. I think it's a single. I think if this horse loses, I'll just go. I'll throw my hands up. Like, really, that happened. So I really like the horse. I think she's going to be very tough to beat here. Maybe this is just a little bit of a stepping stone to a bigger race coming up at Santa Anita, her home track. And also, last thing I'll say about this horse, did you see the workouts from this horse since that last race? She is cruising around the track, huge. So I'm excited about her. I am surprised she's at Sunland, but nevertheless, I think she's very exciting.
Well, I think what we have happening here and is actually a very exciting Kentucky Oaks buildup. I mean, these could be two horses on a collision course, right? If Good Cheer or the other horses we liked in that race turn out to be incredible, this could be the horse standing in their way of winning the Kentucky Oaks. So you guys aren't going to want to miss it. Erin's pretty good at forecasting a horse you need to watch. I felt the same way watching her, by the way, too, Erin. I give her the same cosign. She's one I'm curious about. If it falls apart, she's nothing. But you guys might want to tune in because this could be something very exciting we're seeing, and we won't know until after the race. But let's talk about what we do know when we get back. Our top fives for the Kentucky Derby. Come back. Erin and I have more to unpack. It's going to be awesome. Let's see you on the other side of this break. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Talkin' Track. Okay, as always, Erin and I have top five lists to get to. So let's take a look at where things stand today on the road to the Kentucky Derby. Now, as you see, our lists haven't changed. Obviously, John Hancock won. He didn't make either of our lists. Definitely wanted to look for. But Erin, I think it's exciting to talk about this because, as you can see, Erin has East Avenue second. I've got him high on my list. Let's talk about this upcoming weekend and how much it might impact these lists. Don't you think that's something that's a definite talking point for both of us this week?
Absolutely. So what the situation is here is we haven't seen East Avenue this year. So he's kind of, while we're high on him, he still is kind of a placeholder. We're very high on him, but we need to see what he can do this year before we're like, okay, now we're going to lock him into a spot, right? So this is a make or break kind of next couple of weeks, starting with this week with East Avenue. Here's the deal. We kind of talked about it. I've got him 2, you've got him 3. If he's that type of horse, he needs to win. There really is no excuse. He needs to win this weekend. So what happens, Ryan, if he wins? Do we just keep him at 2 and 3? Does he win impressive and we make him number 1? He's that type of horse where we may be here a week from today talking about, oh my God, we got a new number 1 horse for the first time ever, because ever since Citizen Bull won the Breeders' Cup and we started doing lists, he's been number 1. So, but East Avenue's kind of that one that we may think, okay, maybe this is a new number 1 horse. Also kind of to mention as well, East Avenue was the favorite to win that Breeders' Cup Juvenile that Citizen Bull won, but East Avenue lost all chance at the start when he stumbled badly out of the gate. So that's kind of a draw line through it. He was favored to beat Citizen Bull that day. So if the public turns out to be right, this very well may be the Derby winner. So it's exciting to finally see East Avenue back.
Let's rewind time for a second, Erin. Go back to the first time I heard about East Avenue, because this was what really got me excited. Okay. I got an audio clip from my good friend John White, and it was about this horse, and it was someone being interviewed at Churchill Downs, and they were talking about who else do you have on the track and who else in your barn, and they were like, can we not talk about that? There is a monster out there from this guy named East Avenue, and he's 2 years old and he hasn't debuted yet. Before this horse even stepped on a track, people were talking like we might see the next Triple Crown winner, and I know that's hyperbole. But that's how you kind of hear about these great horses. And his next 2 races, Erin, he lived up to the billing. And then the next time I was hearing about this horse was a phone call from you, because you talked to our buddy Curtis, who works over at FanDuel TV. And Curtis, what did he tell you about his workouts during the Breeders' Cup?
He said he's working better than any horse at the Breeders' Cup, not just in his division. Any horse at the Breeders' Cup, this guy looks better than anybody.
So that's a 2-year-old, guys. This is a kid probably in like high school, junior high, middle school, whatever, outworking horses that are past college, outworking the Tom Bradys and all these guys, right? This is the best horses from the world were there at this racetrack. And here's this little kid outworking them. He takes a stumble. Now you kind of go, okay, he ran so poorly in that race. What do I do? Since then, I've been talking with Aaron. His workouts have been good. I've heard nothing but good things, and people I respect in this game have him ranked as high as number 1. So when you get new to racing, the number one thing people want to talk about, Aaron, is will we see a Triple Crown winner this year? Will we see a Derby winner? That's why this weekend to me is about the most exciting time we might see on the entire trail. If there is a horse out there at this very second that kind of might be in that oeuvre, now anything can happen. It can change. Barnes could be that guy. But we are seriously, I'm not just saying it, he has been talked about in that. There's been whispers from the people you want to hear that this is a very, very special horse. So my question for you this week, Aaron, is do you think if this horse runs like we think he could be, or like what the things have been said, he could jump all the way up to number 1? Could he be that level of horse? What do you think? Because you are the most, as you guys can tell, am all emotion. And my buddy Aaron, he's very practical. I think it's worth talking about because he is the topic of racing this week.
Yeah, look, I'll say this. Yes, the short answer is yes. He could be number 1 by this time by this time, Sunday afternoon or Saturday evening. He could be number 1. What I'll say is I follow horses, and I followed horses for years and years now, from when they first start all the way, through their career. And there's just very few that I've seen that every box gets checked. These horses, they have flaws, and they can overcome them. Like even like great horses will have some flaws. This one he just never has a bad step until the biggest race of his life to that date, and he had the bad step, which makes it so ironic. But dude, his workouts were so good. You mentioned before he ever started, I heard about him too. And he's got a really good trainer, but he doesn't have a trainer that's like great with first time starters. He's just okay. And I thought, we'll see what happens. And he runs off the screen the first race, and it's like, okay. So then you really get to watch him, and then he leads up and runs in a race called the Breeders' Futurity, and it was just like, oh, that was just awesome, just flawless, So that's the excitement. I don't get swept up in, hey, this horse is going to win the Triple Crown. I don't until I see it. Even when American Pharoah won it, it wasn't until April when I really thought, okay, he's going to win it. Same with Justify. In April is when I thought, okay, he's going to win the Triple Crown. So it's too early for me personally to say stuff like that. But I think he's one of 4 or 5 horses that I think can truly be special that we've seen from this crop right now. Does it happen? It's horse racing. It's always kind of, we'll see what happens. There's so much that could go wrong, like we know with him, but yeah, I think he's just a special horse that needs to not stumble and needs to go show who he is on Saturday. He's got a nice field to do it. He's just got to go out and do it now.
What's so crazy about this too, Aaron, and I want to make this clear because I could see me getting beaten up in the comments here. I'm not saying he will be a Triple Crown winner. I'm saying that's what's exciting about it is we don't get that every year where a horse has this hype, and that's what's at stake. But I want to make this very clear. What's really exciting too is if he stumbles here and he does bad, he can fall right out of the top 5. He can be gone overnight. That is what's so exciting about racing. You'd be a hero one day and out the next. This is do or die. Wouldn't you say, Aaron, to wrap
That's
it all
what
up?
makes it different from every other sport out there. If he runs 4th, he's nowhere to be found on anybody's list. And if he runs 1st, he's the number 1 prospect or maybe the number 2 prospect out there. You just don't get that. If a team loses a game, there's always next week they can come back. If a horse this time of year, when they're pointing for the Derby, loses a race, we're in trouble.
And we'll have all of the fallout and the scene where he goes next week. You're not going to want to miss that show because we also have major Derby preps to cover. Guys, that's our show for this week. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Good luck to everyone betting. I'm Ryan Stillman. My amazing co-host is Aaron Halterman of racingdudes.com. You are going to want to go over to that website. It's the best place to go if you're looking to cash and bet. I use it all the time, and I make money with them myself. Aaron, always a pleasure having you on. Thanks for talking track with us today, guys. See you on the other side.